Good afternoon. My name is Dale Ross. I'm CEO of Realtors Property Resource. Today I'm here to describe to you two new projects that RPR will be involved in development over the next couple of years. Over the past 5.5 years, RPR has been successful in building out various products for the NAR constituents, the agents, the brokers, the commercial practitioners, the MLS associations, and appraisers. In the last 4 or 5 months, we've launched our mobile application, which today has 120,000 users accessing RPR through mobile. What we have built over the last 5 years is the largest property-centric database in the country. We have millions of parcels of records, tax records, default information, and mortgages. This is by far the largest property-centric database in the country, which our members get to use. Our new model going forward for the next 5 years is a positioning slide in the industry. We are a solution provider for brokers, agents, MLSs, and associations. And when they come to us and ask us, can you develop products for us, we're now in a position to do that. Of course, legislative resources, technology, property data, and the Realtor brand is always most important. One of the initiatives we'll be developing in the next couple of years is a project called AMP, Advanced Multi-List Platform. Some of the smaller and mid-sized MLSs have come to us and said, can you build a back-end platform for us to house our data, which will allow us as the MLSs to have multiple access points on a front end that our users can have different experiences entering the back-end product where the information is housed. Today, on a national basis, the MLS market is comprised of 770 MLSs. We pay subscription fees to our MLSs of $575 million on a national basis, and they have 6,500 employees in those MLSs. Today, the MLS market is comprised of 770 MLSs, of which 744 of them have less than 10,000 members. These are some of the MLSs that have come to us and asked us to develop products for them. That represents over a half of the population of realtors in the country who use MLS activity. The MLS vendor market today has 3 large vendors, CoreLogic, Black Knight, and Rapatoni, and they represent 70% market share of the MLSs. Today in the country, the pricing of MLS activities is broken up into retail pricing and wholesale costs. The wholesale costs are what the MLSs pay their provider for services rendered to them. On an average, on a national basis, that's $9. The smaller MLSs pay more, the larger MLSs will pay less. On a retail price, this is the price they're charging us as subscribers for MLS activity. Again, it can range much larger or much smaller, but an average is $39. The issue is at $9 average for wholesale cost, many of the vendors of MLS activities are having problems integrating new applications and innovation at that low cost point. So in the definitions of separation, we're talking about a front end, which is a new user experience of multiple ways to access MLS activity, and a back end where all the information will be housed. And then you have third-party syndicators that get products from the MLS. This diagram represents the MLS system of today. The brokers and agents enter their listings, as they do today, into one front end. It goes into one back end system, and then is syndicated out to various portals or elsewhere that the broker chooses. The platform we're talking about with AMP will provide a separation of that back and front. And the front end of choice is very important, that the agents and brokers have multiple choices of how they want to access their back end data through the MLS. So what we're talking about is a new diagram of today's modern MLS system. Brokers and agents enter their listing, but they have multiple ways to enter it. It could be through the current MLS system, it could be through broker websites, or it could be third-party apps that brokers develop or others develop that allow a freedom of choice of how I access that back-end data of MLS activity, which should be housed in RPR on our AMP system. And then with broker consent, information could be sent to the portals as they are today. The RPR AMP platform allows innovation of the future. We are not a national MLS. We are providing a back-end service for those MLSs, which is very important so they can innovate and continue to give great service to their members, whether it's local and regional, and allow them to continue to have their rules and regulations and governance issues as they do today. Approximately 12 months ago, some of our MLS partners came to us and said, can you help us with new technology innovation in the future? can you help us build a system where you, RPR, could house our back-end data and allow us to go into the marketplace and have multiple front ends of choices for our members? These MLSs represent over 63,000 realtors in those MLSs. The next project is called Project Upstream. This is a broker project to control their listing data. The objective of Project Upstream is to allow the brokers to take control of their listing inventory. It allows them to have a listing come into the office, and they determine where that listing information will go. The listing comes in, they populate it with RPR information of tax, assessment records, and other data. They create their own property record. It's housed on the RPR system, and then the broker can decide how that information is disseminated. During the past few months, some of the upstream brokers have met with NAR leadership, RPR, and said, "We like the AMP project, and we believe Upstream will be successful as you're designing AMP as well." These meetings have taken place over the last couple months, not only with the representatives of Upstream, but their technology group as well. During the last few days, the Upstream Board of Managers have met with NAR leadership and has discussed the terms of a partnership. And the other day, a letter of intent was signed by all parties concerned, subject to the NAR Board Director approval on Saturday. Today, the listings flow into the MLS system through one front end, one back end, public records and other data is added, and then is syndicated out to third-party sources. The new Upstream listing data flow model will allow the agents and brokers to enter a listing into Upstream, and then the broker controls where that data goes through a syndication model, the broker back-end services, or the MLS. This slide depicts some of the larger brokers and franchises who are participating in Upstream. But Upstream is for all brokers, small, mid-size, and large as well. The objectives of Upstream AMP project is to create a very high-value proposition for the broker community. With the leadership of NAR, the technology of RPR, this project with Upstream and AMP can be successful. The new technology platform will be broker-centric. This will allow the brokers to take total control of the listing content and decide where it's positioned for the future. The vision of Upstream and AMP is to leverage the RPR Assets and NAR to build a state-of-the-art system for the brokerage community. The listings from the agents and brokers would come into the Upstream AMP system, coupled with the RESO data dictionary, which is extremely important for the MLSs to integrate, which changes the language that every piece of data is on the same language set, and then can be distributed by the brokers to the syndicators, to their back-end office systems, or to their MLSs. The Upstream project is a partnership between NAR, powered by RPR, and the broker community. This includes all brokers and allows them to take their listing content and control it in the future. Thank you for your time today.